Hey planner friends, it is Jess from Knockout Print Shop. It has been a long time since I've done a video. I think it might be 6 months. I don't know. I took a hiatus from YouTubing, so we'll talk about that in another video. But for today, we have my 2022 Inkwell Press unboxing first impressions comparison video. All right, we're diving in. Okay, let me tell you what I bought first. I bought the Flex inserts, so the horizontal inserts. I bought the new, which there's no way this is probably coming across on camera, but the new navy blue cover. And then of course I bought the classic or vertical inserts as well. These discs are not even Inkwell, but so that I didn't buy. Oh, and then I just bought some like more grid paper because I like the grid paper. So those are the products that I bought. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip through them in here, and we'll also do a comparison to the 2021 colors. I'll talk about the changes, what I think, all that stuff. Few things about packaging and all that. You do still get the little inkling thing that comes in the Inkwell Press box, although there is no more Inkwell Press box. So it came in, my package came in a priority, USPS Priority box. I had thought that this was the first year that they did it like that, but one of you guys had mentioned when I did a live in our Facebook group that last year we actually did experience that, and I do remember now getting my inserts because I didn't order a cover in like a poly mailer. So the branded nice Inkwell Press boxes are no more. Here's my 2 cents on that. One, I am a huge fan of very minimal packaging and collateral and things like that because I like to be low waste. With that said, I think because of the quality of the actual Inkwell Press products, I do think there is an expectation that the packaging that it comes in be higher quality. So there's that. I did have a very, very subtle amount of damage. I don't even know if this is going to come off on camera, but the corners were bent a little bit on my inserts because they were jostled around in that priority mail box. That's my 2 cents about that. I do wish she still had the nice Inkwell Press boxes with the very high quality, safe packaging, but she doesn't. So there's that. All right, so the cover is awesome. I don't usually buy the extras because I feel like I don't need that. I really do enjoy the cover that I have, which is the tan, brown, whatever, but I was like, this navy's kind of cool if I ever want to switch the covers out or have 2 planners at once or use one as a notebook. I don't know. I liked the navy. It was cool. So have that. All right. Let's dive into these inserts and I'll tell you what I think. So I will kind of do this as a side-by-side and first impression so we can see at the, let's see, how am I going to do this? I have got things everywhere, so I apologize that this will not be the most concise thing in the world. All right, so let's look at the comparison here between last year and this year. So much more subtle year mark here on this first intro page. This style of this like dotted box around January through December is the same. These fonts are the same here. This looks the same. And I apologize if you can hear my rooster in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. For the most part, this is all the same font, style, all of that, except for the year. I don't mind that font. It is not bad. So there's that. Okay, I do think this paper, as far as I can tell, is the same quality as years past. So paper quality is staying the same regardless of supply issues, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's look at the important dates page here. So you can see these colors, this teal is the same as last year. This teal and gray is kind of the Inkwell Press branded colors. So I think it makes sense that yet again we see this on the extras pages like the important dates. I think I do prefer the just kind of serif traditional font over the scripty font. I don't know, actually I don't usually like scripted fonts, especially when they have this distressed look, but this is a font she's used many times. But I do like this layout a little better with the words, events, and happenings offset with this little dot. So I think this is more stylized. I think this is a lot simpler. These are again like nitpicky things. This would not deter me from buying the product, but I think this has a more interesting layout. This is also thicker. You can see here that this took up almost like a whole nother line space. than this one. And you can see this year, this is rounded. Was just straight across last year. Let's see if you get different lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you do get a few more lines here on the new version because this header is not as tall. And now when I'm showing you this on top of each other, I don't know if this is coming off on camera, but last year's was a deeper color, I think more saturated. This is a little more vibrant. Is that right? Yeah, I don't know if you can see the difference. At a quick glance, they don't look different, but when you lay them on top of each other, last year's was a little darker. This is a little lighter, more vibrant. Anyways, just to, again, subtle differences. So the date layout you can see is different here. You have the month in 01 with the full word January. Here you had just the single digit with the month there. This has much less color. You just have the teal with the gray. This had gray, what looks like a reddish color, and then the teal. So you can see that is the difference between those pages. Let me flip this. And then you can see here, the only real difference we have is this box has rounded edges. This one was squared up and also had a dotted box around it. And this again is that straight, thicker header. But those are the differences on those pages. I personally, as you can see, I don't use those pages a lot. I think they can come in handy for certain things, but I did not use them. Okay, so let's get to this change, which I think is interesting here. Actually, all right, this is not a good example. We had made these for custom strips for somebody, and now you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to see this. All right, let me just show you this page. And this is not the Inkwell stuff. We created these as a custom listing for somebody that went over this size of the hexagon strips. All right, let's just look at the page. So again, you have a scriptier font here with this offset sans serif text. Here you have just a serif text centered above a sans serif text. So just a different look. This, I guess, maybe has a little more classic professional feel versus adding that script font and making it a little more fancy. This is probably not going to come off great, even though we have removable stickers because it's been sitting here for a while, but just to give you a style difference here. So here's one thing I find very, not unattractive or unappealing, but odd about this year's goal hexagon or goal page. You can see there's always the traditional 6 categories, but instead of having 6 unique colors, 1 color per category, we have 1 color for every 2 categories. So personal and dream big are the same color, social and home are the same color, and health and financial are the same color. This aesthetically looks great on brand, a nice set of colors, but from a functionality standpoint, this may not work for each person. If you want to continue to color code your goals throughout the year, you have 2 categories that have the same color. So I find that a bit odd from a functional standpoint. We will likely have to find a workaround for this because we do sell goal related stickers that usually mirror the colors here. So I don't know. I'm going to probably do a live video in our Facebook groups. If you're not a member, join that. I think I'll leave the link below so that I could get some feedback from you guys on what we should do about this. So as you know from years past, I do not like the format of this. I think aesthetically it looks great. Functionally, I do not like it. I don't like having to write in these odd shaped boxes, whatever, but that's what that is. Okay. Let's look at this page. So you can see here just some very subtle differences. Again, the change in font. She went to, oh, that's interesting. So these are open hexagons here that are a little bigger. And last year you can see how they were just a tiny bit smaller and they were colored in because they coordinated with each of the goal categories. And so again, you can see this was, financials here. And then it's obviously on the bigger page. So this structure makes a lot more sense to me than this. This looks really clean and on brand. Functionally, I find this odd. I don't know. So we're going to have to mess with this a little bit and make it, I think, more color coded. The other issue is that this color, well, that's not really an issue because this is pretty dark. So if we make a sticker this color, you're not going to be able to write on it unless we put like a transparency over it. But those are those differences. Okay, what do we got next? Then we go to your little perpetual calendar. This looks almost exactly the same. Again, some style differences with the fonts. but for the most part it's the same. This band here is a little smaller than it was last year as far as the width of it, and just again, little style differences. All right, now you can't even see this because I have our color-coded hexagons over it, so let me see if I have one for reference in another month. I do. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Let me go over these colors and I will show you what I think is the overlap from last year to this year. So let's see, I need to get organized here. Okay, this video is going to be kind of a long ride, guys, but hopefully this is helpful to you, whether you've bought the planner or you're thinking about buying the planner. I like to be as thorough as possible when I do this and share my thoughts. Okay, so this is the first palette. Oh my gosh, what did she call this one? I can't even freaking remember. She did an Instagram live the other day, Tanya, the creator of Inkwell Press, and she did tell us the names of each of these colors and now palettes, and I can't remember what this first one is now. I don't remember. Anyways, it'll probably come to me at a random time. So here's kind of what you'll see with the color palettes for 2022. So you'll see this gray thing here. We have 2 dark and 2 light, and then you'll see this teal. This repeats in every single palette. You'll see this as we go through. Then you're gonna have like this one main color, and then essentially the rest of the colors are just step downs and shade of this color. So you have this dark maroon, and it's like one step down and then the lighter one. And these are essentially, look to me at first glance, the exact same color. So each palette has like 3 colors, 1, 2, 3, and then a dark gray, a light gray, and a teal. So I do not dislike how this looks. I think it's very nice and simple. When you look at years past, so this is the first palette, even though we're on September, this is like palette 1 of 2021. You could see we still have this dark and light gray again, and these are different grays. This is a little darker last year than it is this year. These look the same. But you can see there's a lot more variety, at least on palette 1. This appears to be the main color, which has the quote on top of it. Then you have like a step down in it. Then you also have this coral color, and then you have a darker teal and just a slightly lighter teal. So there's a lot more variety than there is in the first palette and the subsequent palettes for 2022. Okay, I think this palette looks a lot like, and I could be wrong, but it looks like a lot like Santorini. So this is Santorini palette from 2021. This is a little darker than this. These teals look like they're pretty much the same as last year. Obviously we don't see these blues and greens popping up again because you can see there's way less variety on the palette than there was last year. But when I flip open, they're not exact. They're not. I mean, look, these are different. This year's is a lot more, what to me looks like red, like a burgundy. This has more of a purple hue. And then let me see really quick, because Vancouver, okay, so they are similar, just like usual in Inkwell Press. Year over year, there's a similarity, ideally to keep on brand, but they are different. But you can see that Santorini looks very similar to whatever the heck palette 1 is called. I cannot remember what it's called. So when we look at the layouts here, just to kind of side by side so you can see the difference. So last year, how am I going to do this one? We'll go like this. Last year, the month view, the month was on the left and the year was on the right hand of the page. This year, the month and the year are both on the left. So again, just a style difference. Last year, the header was cut, was like a flush straight line. This year there's like this little arc or curve here. I don't dislike that, but I don't think it adds anything to it. It looks kind of odd, but it's not super noticeable. The font size here looks a little smaller, but everything else is the same. The only thing that's different is, see these little, I don't know if you can see this, but the little dots at the end, the open circles, those are gone this year. So there isn't, oh, here at the bottom. So last year, again, not sure if you can see this camera, you might have to whip out your own planner, but there was a very subtle gray ombre border. Then this edge had a little bit of a rounded edge where the white was, or white is, and then there was this open circle at the end of each line. This year, the whole page is white other than the header. and there's no little open circles ending these lines. So that's the difference here. Again, this is pretty small, so I don't know if you can see all of this. So that's the difference in the month view. Then we get into the week view. Let me show this side by side. It'll be easier. And again, I'm showing this because these palettes are fairly similar. Can I fit this in here? Okay. So again, you can see this little circle that ends these lines? They're gone this year. I actually think aesthetically that looks better. I think it was too much going on once she added this darker border or header. I think getting rid of that open circle aesthetically makes sense. Last year, the words were a color, but it was very subtle. There was not, it almost looked like it was gray, even though this particular month they were blue, and the line in between was dotted. This year, the line is solid here, and whatever the color of the header is the color of the words. I personally cannot stand these words. I wish they were gone. This is why we sell the cover strips to cover them up. I will say, if you're someone that doesn't like the words, they're more noticeable this year because she has made them coordinate with the color of the header, so they pop out a little bit more. This was a little more subtle last year. So if you don't like the words, I think, and you've been ignoring them, you may end up needing to like cover them somehow this year. What else is different? So if you look at the bottom of the page, we also see a difference. Last year, the daily box color went all the way to the bottom. It was like no margin. This year, there's a margin all the way around. So it almost like you have this feeling with these rounded edges, like the planner layout lays inside of this margin. I'm gonna need to make sure, but I hope these things are all the same width as they used to be. This is why this video ends up being like an hour long. I wonder if I could just take a sticker off of something else that has a width and see. Okay, so I'm gonna get distracted, guys. I'm trying to go fast so I don't keep you on here for freaking ever. Let me just take this off, and I'm gonna take a sticker off. That is a 1.5. Oh shoot, it's like been on the planner too long, so it's ripping. I'm taking a sticker off, a quarter box. Oh my God, this is gonna look like garbage. I'm ripping this is the old planner, so it doesn't matter. Basically, this is a quarter box. That's 1.5 width. Okay, we're the same width. So making this like layout look like it's got a bigger margin down here did not change, at least at first glance, the width of the columns. Okay, we got that. All right, so you could see you have a margin, a white margin all the way around here. Before, there was only a margin on the left and right and no margin on the bottom of the page. I have no idea why she changed that. I'm not sure which one I like better. I actually think I like this better because this looks odd, misplaced in my opinion. It's like you have this marginless header, and now you have a margin like here. I don't know. I feel like this whole bottom should just be the color. Anyways, again, we're going all over. The color of the daily boxes last year was much lighter than this year. You will notice that the ombre, like dark to light, is darker. You can easily write on this still. It's not hard to see, obviously, but it is noticeably darker. Of course, the sectioned out lines are still here. This is the new one. The date layout is exactly the same as it was last year. The font choice is, the same. And then if we look at the right-hand side, you could see the only difference on the sidebar is this year it's a more solid line. Last year it was a more of a dotted line, but everything else is the same. The structure here of the weekly focus, before it said weekly small and focus big, it says weekly big and focus small. I mean, that's a very subtle, random difference. Okay, so that's that. So this is our first color palette. That's my assessment for you of that. And again, I do not freaking remember what the name of this was. So obviously you go through here. Let's see the changes to the back. So we have notes and ramblings. Last year we had this. So this was really big and it was only on the left. And we had this, like, again, this dashed line with the open circle at the end. This year it's just white, or sorry, the page is white and it's just dotted. I actually think this paper's whiter than last year. It looks like, I don't know, it looks more vibrant than in years past. This is always, their paper's always not been a bright white, but this looks bright white. Anyways, it says notes and ramblings on both pages now, and at the bottom here, last year we had this little accent color. This year we have nothing, so it's all writing space. So I could definitely see the benefit of getting rid of that bottom footer thing. It just gives you more space to write. So there's that. All right, and then we get into this page here, which is that plan, focus, habit page. The only thing that changed here, the ampersand is exactly the same. The text this year is tiny. It's very tiny, actually. You can see the font size is bigger here. Last year, this was the word focus. There was an opening here. Now the word focus is inside. I personally think I like that better. Actually, no, that's the same. You can see here's another difference. So we have, instead of just like, again, this dotted line with a little circle, now we have like a shaded box. That's a fine change. I don't think it's bad, good, whatever. So that is palette 1. Those are the initial changes that I see. Okay, palette 2, I think she called this Wildflower. I don't know why I remember this one for some reason. But we didn't have a color. Here's the other thing sometimes. So when we look at palette 1, which I don't know what it's called, you have this color, right? It's like, that's your main color. But then when you go into here, this is substantially darker than this, but you could tell this color probably shows up in this ombre somewhere. In February, in Wildflowers, the main color is this dusty dark blue. But then here, when it's used in a font, it's a much more saturated, darker blue. When it shows up here, it's a much more saturated, darker blue. And to me, this color looks almost exactly the same, but I am wrong, as last year's Buenos Aires dark color. So I thought these colors were the same. I am mistaken. Buenos Aires, like blue or navy or whatever the heck you want to call it. No, it wasn't the same color. Okay, so it's pretty close, but it's not the same. This blue was a lot more almost black. This is, again, a little brighter. So you can see this year it looks like the colors got a little brighter than they were the year before. So let's go back to the mission board, and we can see this same theme where we have the 2 dark grays and the light gray. We can see we have the teal. So always this this quote is showing up in the teal hexagon right there. So this combination of 4 hexagons is always the same in every palette, and I guess I should say this 5. The difference between January and February as far as this theme goes is there is an extra blue one versus her here having the extra light gray. So again, you can see we have dark blue, 1 step down, 1 step down here. So we technically have about 3 unique colors, and then these are the same. I personally aesthetically love how clean this looks, but this will present a little bit of a challenge for us with creating stickers that I will talk to you about at the end. But this is Wildflower. And again, you can see even this darkest blue here isn't as dark as this header. So I know this blue probably shows up in this ombre kind of situation, but we already looked at this. So here we go, looking at this again. We have the dark header, and then we have the boxes. How does this compare to... Yeah, so it looks like it's initially the same. Here's the irony, though. Last year's daily boxes were lighter and brighter, and these are like kind of more of a muddy, more washed out look. So this is more vibrant, but these are darker. I do feel like this balance is a bit better. This felt a little off balance to me aesthetically, but we've got that. Okay, guys, so that's that. Then obviously you get back here and you see that. March's was, I think, called Orchid. So you can see again what we have. We have these hexagons. These 5 are exactly the same in every single one. And now we go to this like pinky kind of color, which to me looks pretty darn close in a lot of ways to Vancouver, which was palette 3 last year. Obviously there isn't this dark color, but these pinks, guys, are freaking almost the same. They're a little deeper this year. It's like just these very, very subtle changes that make them unique. I do think, again, this looks better and cleaner than having the addition of these two blues, but you can see these two are very, very similar. So when you pop here into this palette, you can see last year, instead of using the accent color, which would have, or the main color, which would have made more sense, she went with blue as the header. This year, she kept it like, well, if this is gonna be our main color, we're keeping that as the main color on the top. And I don't think this color is more similar, because here's Santorini. They're still different, okay. So you see that, and then we have obviously here. So another reddish color or pinky colored palette. I don't love that there's two reddish pinks in here, but what can you do? So yeah, you can see again, like the words are the main color, the words are the main color. So each month, whatever the main header color is, those three words are always that color. And then we get to the end. I'm watching my time because I'm at 25 minutes and the camera will shut off at 30 and I'll have to start over. So you can see we have that. Okay, my favorite palette this year is this one, this teal one. It's called Spruce, I'm pretty sure. And so this is going to be all of the teals, blues kind of thing. So again, those 5 colors are the same. Then we have this darkest teal, one step down, and then we have, these are kind of, yeah, she's got a little more step down variety in this gradient here, but you can see that. We do not have a palette. Well, last year was what? Venice. So it's the similar thing where the 4th palette has a teal feel, but last year she had these really bright, like yellowy colors, which I kind of think are fun, but this palette had fun colors, but I don't think they all went together really well. And these type of bright colors are super hard for us to recreate. So I'm kind of glad not to see one of those. But you can see there's carryover and similarity, but again, they are not exactly the same. But there's that consistent 5 of those being the same, and then those are your unique colors. Here's our header with that teal and then the teal on the bottom. Okay, I know I'm talking super fast. My impression of this at first with the colors are, I love the simplicity. I think it looks very clean. I don't like this header, but I think this does look more balanced this year than last year. I don't really care for this margin, but whatever. So I think it's very simple, classic. It looks a little more polished and sophisticated without the big variety in color. Fonts are fine. Everything else is fine. The quality is fine. I do think the paper might be a little brighter. Let's see. I don't have my whole planner from last year here, but so I can't compare these pages to last year because I don't have the whole thing. I never use any of this, so I should probably just freaking take it out. But just to show you, obviously there's that. I'm sure she showed this on. You get a couple note pages, your project plans. Although I do think that was like a reddish last year, that little flag. So those are your extras if you use them. So really quick, you might hear my dog walking around in the back room. Here's the question I have for you guys. And I'm, again, might do like a community chat in our Facebook group to talk about this. So my question for you guys is, with these palettes having minimal color, here's what we suggested when I did my like live unboxing in the Facebook group. That each palette, each sticker sheet, instead of having the usual 6 colors per palette that we used to have, we will only have 3. So I'm gonna pause really quick, go get a sticker sheet to show you the example, and then come back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so in years past, this is typically how most sticker sheets would look. For each palette, there would be 6 colors, well, essentially 5 colors, and the gray for that year. Because there isn't a lot of color variety in each of these palettes, getting 6 colors would be really hard. Obviously, there's 2 choices for a gray. Every single palette has a dark gray, a light gray, and a teal. So there would be 3 colors. Every palette would have a dark gray, a light gray, and a teal, and then we'd have 3 colors from there. Probably, obviously, the main color. This step down color is pretty stinking close to the main color, so there's not a lot of shade variation there. And then we'd have the lightest color. In some cases, these light colors present us with a little bit of a challenge in matching and getting them to show up in a usable way, because the light, when it's really tiny and it's light, sometimes it's hard to be useful. So with knowing that every palette you buy, 3 of the colors, light gray, dark gray, and teal, would always be the same. No matter if you bought the wildflower palette, you bought the spruce palette, you'd always have those 3. And then, excuse me, you'd have the 3 others. So what, when we were talking on the live, we thought about doing, or you guys had suggested, was what if each of the sticker sheets, instead of having 6 colors, had 3 colors? So essentially, and then we'd have an add-on palette. So essentially, if we were like, okay, palette 1, wish I could think of the name of it, it would have, and then, so one of the options would be, it would have this color, and this color. So the dark, the medium, and the light. And then you'd go into wildflower and you'd have the dark, the medium, the light. And so in each palette, when you bought, let's say, a sheet of these, you would get more of each color, but you'd have less variety. And then we'd have an add-on palette that had dark gray, light gray, and teal. So that way you have like the signature palette for that month. And then you could also buy an add-on palette that would clearly work on any of the months because it would have the dark gray, light gray, and teal. So again, if you bought the mini hexes and you bought wildflower, there would be, you know, this many of the dark blue, this many of the light blue, and this many of the medium blue. And then you could buy an additional add-on sheet. We could call it like Inkwell Press Neutrals or whatever, and it would be teal, light gray, dark gray. So that's one option to separate that. So instead of having, you know, the light gray, dark gray, teal on every single sheet, plus then the dark, medium, light color, you just get more quantity of less colors, if that makes sense. The other option is to still split them, so to have the light gray, dark gray, teal, like the Inkwell Press branded neutral colors on one sheet, and that's separate, you could buy. And then we could do 2 of the palette colors and a knockout print shop like accent color. So often what we typically do, because there's not always 5 colors for us to choose from on these palettes, is we would do 4 of them and then pick an accent color. We go into color pickers and try to find a coordinating color so it would give you guys more variety. So let's say we were doing this particular palette and we did the dark and the medium, let's say. So there's a more of a difference. Then we would go and find a complementary color to this color. So your sticker sheet would have this color, and our accent color that's not included on the palette. And then you could also still buy that like neutral palette. So that's kind of what we're trying to figure out, because these palettes do not have a lot of variety. So we'd really, really love to hear what your thoughts are on that particular issue. You could see here again, we could do a sheet that just has these, and then we do like dark, medium, light, or dark, light, and an accent color. So let us know what you guys think. We're gonna start color matching this week. Hopefully it won't be too hard because a lot of these are very similar to last year, but we'd really be curious on your thoughts on that. You know, some years we get the impression that everybody wants a lot of variety, so we like to add extra colors so you have more variety, but I feel like the trend is swinging a little bit more towards the less is more kind of thing with planning, and people are liking to have more quantity of color they know will coordinate versus having so much variety. So everybody's gonna be different, not everybody's gonna think the same, but let me know what your thoughts are on that. Okay, before I end, one more thing before we move on is also would love your feedback on what to do here, because we are now contending with the issue that we have 6 goal categories and 3 goal colors. So we'll have to figure out what we do here. So if you have thoughts on that, let us know that too. Okay, before I sign off, I really quickly, no, I'm not going to shoot. Do I have it? Okay, I got the flex as well. I don't have my last year flex with me, you guys. And I don't think that anything changed. Maybe the date layout. But obviously this planner, the only difference is it's the different planner layout, but the colors are obviously the same. I believe this is a little, the one thing I will say, I need to go look at my, let me go grab my flex. Okay, I was wrong. I'm glad I grabbed this. I thought this looked like a bit much for a date layout. It has like the Friday is gray, and then the April and the month are the color of the month. That's exactly how it was last year. It's the same kind of layout for the dates. I do kind of wish this was smaller. The only thing, there is a subtle difference. The month was like a light color. You can obviously, this was a much bigger font the day of the week, and then the number, the date was the darkest color. Let's see in another month. Oh yeah, it was always 3 different colors last year. Okay, now it's just 2 colors, the gray and the main color. So there's definitely overall throughout this planner less color in the layouts than there was last year, even if it's very subtle. And there's a very few, let's see, just looking really quick, design wise from last year, there is nothing different in the flex. So this is exactly the same. Like I said, the day of the week is a tiny bit bigger. This is last year, this is this year. But the formatting here, all of that is the same. And on this side, let me show you a page I didn't write on. This is the only difference I see. These are stacked, weekly and focus. This is straight across. This text is smaller. This text is a little bigger, but everything else is the same. Nothing else changed. So obviously the color palettes are exactly the same. Okay guys, so that is it. I think we're just about 30 minutes in. Yeah, so I was a little worried. I didn't know what was going on with Inkwell Press. But I will say I am surprisingly pleased with the overall minor changes that were made. Yeah, the fonts are okay. That doesn't really trip me up, but the only thing, I like the color palettes themselves. I like her simplistic approach to it and the more monochromatic gradient kind of thing. I just wish that there wasn't 2 reddish purples. Like, I'm not into that. Like, I don't want all this pinky purple, but what can you do? I don't mind the blue. I like the blue. I like the green. It'd be cool to have like a gray, maybe. I know there's only so many colors you can do, but I like this blue or this teal. I like the blue. It'd be cool if like the 4th color was like just grays. I think that'd be really on brand for her. I don't know what the other color would be then. She might have to introduce some kind of pinky color, but anyways. All right, that is all guys. I hope that was helpful. If you have feedback on how you think we should lay out the sticker sheets, please let us know. The color matching process does take a little bit of time, so just be patient with us there. If you've been with us for a while, you know we got to manually do this. We don't have access to hex codes from Inkwell Press, so it does take a little bit of time for us to match it, print it, match it, but it's time consuming. And then once we do the match it, we listing by listing go in and make a brand new listing with the new colors, the new images. It's a lot of administrative work and data entry and file creation. So we start with the most popular stickers and go from there. But your patience is always appreciated on that process. And in the meantime, please let me know in the comments below your thoughts on what our color options should be, and hop over on our Facebook group and share it there too. That would be great. Hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you soon.